Hello, welcome back. In this section, in this lecture, where we will be talking about the beliefs and practices of Muslims. Um, for you to be considered a real Muslim, you need to believe in 5 basic fundamental doctrines, and you need to be practicing 5 basic, what they call obligatory practices. The beliefs are called the articles of faith, whereas the practices are called the pillars of Islam. So today, at this point, let me just share first about the beliefs of Islam. Okay, the beliefs of Islam, also called articles of faith. There are basically 5, although some would say 6. But the first one is called the Tawheed, or Oneness of God. Muslims believe that there is only one God. Now, Christians also believe the same way, but the difference is that in Islam, they have what we call a radical monotheism. They do not believe that anyone can be equal to Allah, to God. And in fact, for Muslims, the greatest sin is the sin called shirk. Shirk is the sin of associating someone in equality with God. Now, even though sometimes we think that Tawheed, or the oneness of God, is similar to Christian beliefs, yet it does not only affirm that there is one God, it also refutes the Christian doctrine of Trinity. So they believe in that. This is embodied in their the Shahada, which I will talk to you about later on. Now, notice that Tawheed is the most important doctrine in Islam. In fact, 90% of theology, Islamic theology, is related to the Tawheed. The second belief of Islam is belief in Malaika, okay, or angels. Malaikat or angels. Islam believes in heavenly beings. They believe in the supernatural. They don't just believe in angels, which, by the way, they believe that angels were created from light. They also believe in supernatural beings called the jinn. Okay, angels and jinns. The jinn, they believe, is created from smokeless fire, and so you will see some of the movies like Aladdin's lamp with genie. Okay, the angels serve God, serve Allah. The jinn, they say there are good jinn, there are Muslim jinn, and there are bad jinn, there are non-Muslim jinn. And among the non-Muslim jinn, these are the ones they call the demons and devils. The leader of the jinn for them is Al-Shaitan, or Al-Shaitan, or Satan, or also called Iblis. Okay. The third belief of Islam is the belief in Nabi and Rasul. That means prophet and messenger. They believe that God, or Allah, has chosen individuals who will receive revelation, and that the revelation can either be written in a book or not. And they said, starting from Adam up to the biblical prophets, there were many people, many individuals that Allah has called, and the last of the prophet is, of course, Muhammad. Um, they believe that the Nabi are prophets without a book. The Rasul is a prophet with a book. And among other prophets in the Islamic belief that they believe has a book was Moses. They said Moses had the book. His book is the Taurat, or the Old Testament. And then David was a messenger with a book, and his book was the Psalms. And then Jesus was a messenger, and his book was the Injil, or the Gospel. And then Muhammad, they said the seal of the prophet, had the Quran. And they believe that Muhammad is the last and final prophet of Allah. Number 4 belief of Islam is about the Kutub. Okay, the Kutub, or holy books. They believe, because there are prophets who have written, there are prophets with a book, they believe that there are holy books. In fact, they believe that from the very beginning, there were inspired writings. At the beginning, it was like just tracts written on leaves and on what they call the suhuf. But then eventually there remained 4 heavenly books. The 4 heavenly books includes the writings of Moses, which is called the Taurat, and then the writings of David, which is called the Zabur, or the Psalms, and then the writings of Jesus, they said, which is the Injil, or the Gospel, and then number 4 heavenly book is the Quran. So the first 3 books are found in the Bible, and the 3rd book is found, and the 4th book is found in the Quran. But they believe that the Bible is no longer needed. The book of the Jews and the Christian is no longer needed because the Quran abrogates them, and it is the best book and the final revelation that is needed by anyone. And then the number 5 belief of Islam is belief in the Qiyamah, or the Qiyamah, Day of Judgment. Muslims believe, or Islam believes, that there will be a day of reckoning, a day of judgment, and that people will be judged according to their works, and those who have more good works will go to paradise or heaven, and those who had more bad works will go and burn in hell. There is actually a 6th belief, and the 6th belief is not as common as, well, it is common, but it's not considered a real fundamental belief, because there used to be a argument or a debate about it. This is called, okay, so these 5 ones we can consider as the fundamentals of Islam, and then the 6th one is called the Qadar, or predestination. Islam teaches that everything and everyone has been predestined already. Whatever happens to you today has been decided upon in heaven. And so they believe that whatever Allah has decided, that is what will happen. And so they will usually say, when you are talking to them, will say, will you come to me? Will you come see me tomorrow? And they will say, I will come see you tomorrow, inshallah. Inshallah simply means if God wills. If God wills. So if they don't come, they will say it was not God's will. And if you thank them, for instance, you say, thank you for doing this for me, they will say, Masha'Allah. Masha'Allah literally means it was the will of Allah for me to do it. In other words, I'm not doing it for you, I was not doing it because I'm kind, but because Allah has decided that I will be doing it. So these are the 5 fundamental beliefs of the 5 and the 6 fundamental beliefs of Islam.